Good morning, and thank you for joining us again today as we take a virtual tour around Tampa Bay, visiting local manufacturing companies for Manufacturing Month 2020. My name's Beth Gallick, and I'm the Executive Director of the Bay Area Manufacturers Association. Our organization helps manufacturers grow and become more profitable so they can continue to offer high-tech, high-paying jobs right here in our area. We're also part of the Florida Makes Network. So do me a favor and say hello back in the chat box at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a question and answer box. Please tell us where you're from, what school you're coming to us from, or what company you're with. Also, while the presentation is going on, you can ask your questions in the question and answer box, and our presenter will answer those questions for you later on in the program. So today I'm very happy to welcome one of BAMA's board of directors, and Jeff Cole is from Electromechanical Solutions, and they're a complex CNC machining, precision sheet metal fabrication, and electric or mechanical assembly operation. So Jeff will tell you a little bit more about what all that means. But some of the services that they provide are CNC turning and milling, laser cutting, sawing, forming, welding, and quality inspection. And Jeff works in the aerospace, medical, semiconductor, and defense industries. So it's a very exciting occupation you have, Jeff. And if you can tell us a little bit why manufacturing is important to you.
So manufacturing is important to me because we're able to provide several different products to support the Department of Defense, semiconductor industry, pharmaceutical industry, and other various manufacturers around the Tampa Bay area and around the country. We also ship some of our product to Europe, Germany, Korea, Taiwan, Japan. So it's very interesting. I've had the privilege of visiting most of those countries, so it's been a pretty exciting career. And I'm happy that EMS is able to participate.
Wonderful. And I'd like to welcome Armwood High School with us today. So welcome to you. We're very excited to show you. Jeff has put together a virtual plant tour for you, and he'll be walking you through that now. So we can go ahead and run the video.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the virtual factory tour of Electromechanical Solutions. And this is actually a video, so I'm going to have to talk to the slides that present on the screen. This slide has some examples of some of the various things that we've machined or sheet metal. The top middle picture is actually of a robotic system that we build for the semiconductor industry. On the bottom two pictures are sheet metal parts that we make. We do precision machining and sheet metal, cable and wiring harness assemblies. We do rack, panel, enclosure fabrication, electrical and mechanical subassemblies, and we're actually a full system manufacturing integration and test, and we build automated substrate handling systems for the semiconductor industry. So EMS has been around since 2001. We're located in Odessa, Florida. We have a 52,000 square foot facility that was built in 2006. We're ISO 9001 certified. We're also AS 9100 certified. We're a member of BAMA. We're also a member of the American Welding Society. So we provide welding services, we don't do plating, painting, and that kind of stuff here, but we do have a relationship with suppliers in the area that do that outside service work for us. This is a picture of one of our CNC machining centers. The middle picture is actually of a wafer handling system, and then our subassembly area is on the right there. We service government, semiconductor, medical, pharmaceutical, and many other markets. This is an example of some of our precision machining. Pretty much anything that you can draw, we can make, whether it's lathe, mills, we do welding here, outside services, plating, powder coating, silk screening. We actually do polishing here on site. Anything from simple sheet metal panels to very complex machine parts, we can handle that. Here's a few pictures of the shop. This part is actually going to be a live picture. So there's one of our CNC mills and an operator running that. This is a picture of our shipping and receiving area. You can see in the center there's a couple of ships consoles that are getting ready to go out the door. The one that just came in is of our CNC area. We have 4 Akuma CMC machines. And then in the last picture that came up is a 5-axis machining center. These are some of the things that we could do: laser cutting, chem film, punching, plating, forming, painting, powder coating, enclosure, fabrication. We actually do welding, silk screening, polishing, hardware installation. We do sub-assemblies, saw cutting, shearing, and we build frames, cabinets, and brackets. And these pictures are just some of the examples of products that we manufacture here. We actually do all the way through the silk screening process. This slide is of our sheet metal department. The first picture that's going to come up should be our laser. So that's an 8,000 watt, 120 inch by 60 inch Amada laser that we use for cutting up to a 1/2 inch thick metal. This is a picture of our brake and our pen insert tool, a couple of the operators that are actually bending parts when I snap that picture. And then the next one's a little bit of fun. So this is actually the laser running. It's cutting out a model train, and that model train is something that I'm going to assemble it. You'll get to see it finished, but right now the laser is cutting through, that's a 60,000 thick material, and the laser is going through and making all the various pieces of the model train. I thought that would be a good example for you to be able to see what some of the things that the machine is capable of. Obviously, we don't make toys with it, but this gives you a good example of its capabilities. This part actually took about 8.5 minutes to run, but I didn't want to have an 8.5 minute video, so I just showed the end of it. So the machine's done now. The next picture that's coming up will be the actual, that's what it looked like before I punched out all the pieces, and that's what it looked like when I finished assembling it. Thank you all for attending the virtual tour, and if anybody has any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, so remember to go ahead and put your questions right in the Q&A chat box. Jeff will be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'd also like to welcome Roebuck Technologies to our tour. Welcome, Suzanne. I'm glad you're joining us today. So, Jeff, you had mentioned that you do a lot of precision work. If someone came on board, to run something like the laser, what type of training would they need?
So in order to run the laser, you have to be able to read blueprints, number one, because everything that we make within the facility, whether we designed it ourselves or a customer provides us with a blueprint that has the dimensions. So number one would be able to actually read a blueprint and understand it and be able to take quality measurements off of that blueprint. So the laser, there's a couple of interesting positions within this company. One of them is a sheet metal programmer. That person writes they call it G codes, that tells the laser what to do, where to cut, where to pierce, what power levels to use, all that kind of stuff. So the qualifications really for a laser operator would be a CNC, familiar with the CNC equipment and the safety requirements of working around a laser, which I don't know if you noticed or not, but the video wasn't perfect, and that's because there's safety shields all around the machine so that the laser never comes near the operator or anybody around the machine.
Okay, that's very good to know. Very safe, conscious. And what type of program is used to create the program that the CNC machine uses?
So for the sheet metal, the program is called FabriWin. So we take either a couple ways to get the data in the system. You can give us a DXF file, which comes out of a CAD program. You can give us a step file, also comes out of a CAD program. Or in a lot of cases, the customer has, I'm going to call it a napkin sketch, where they drew a sketch, of just the dimensions of what they needed. And then we go ahead and enter that into the system manually. And then we have what's called a post processor that actually converts that drawing into G codes that the machine understands. The same is true for CNC machining, a little bit different software. We use Mastercam for that, but it's exactly the same. We draw the program, or we draw the part in Mastercam, or we pull in a step file, and then we have a post processor that generates the G code that actually operates the machine.
Okay. And how many employees do you have?
Currently have 25 employees, various skill levels. We have 2 programmers, we have 2 estimators, we have a quality department, 3 people in the quality department. All of the parts that we make are 100% inspected before shipment. And so we have to have a fairly knowledgeable staff in the QA area. And we have some very sophisticated equipment in the QA area that we use for measuring the parts when they're complete.
And with your parts and final products, is it anything that we would have seen?
Probably most everything that we make, you've probably seen in your day-to-day life. We make a lot of different things. One of the ones that come to mind very quickly is if we've gone to the airport and you walk through security in the airport. There's a company that makes those scanners that your bags go through. And we make the skins that go on those scanners. So the sheet metal that surrounds them is manufactured here.
Oh, very cool. So next time we're in the airport, we'll be taking a look at that. Very neat.
That's one that comes to mind. I mean, there's quite a few other things. I mean, we make quite a bit of a lot of parts for the Department of Defense, and you'll see those parts in if you're on a military base, or perhaps in a military aircraft, or we even make some parts for commercial aircrafts.
So how many parts would you make in a day?
I'm gonna give you the monthly. We ship about 500 parts a month, ranging from maybe a 2-inch square block up to 20 feet long, for example, on the sheet metal side. One of the pictures that was in the slide presentation was of a ship's console that's actually going in a ship simulator. We designed and built that here. And we've shipped 5 of them so far, and we have 4 more to ship.
Okay. And in your facility, what would you say is the coolest piece of equipment that you have?
I'm going to tell you what my favorite one is. I don't know if it's the coolest or not, but the laser to me is amazing. It's because it's cutting through metal like butter almost. It's pretty incredible to watch.
And Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the field in the first place? What drew you to manufacturing?
Okay, so that's an interesting story. I shared it with several people before, but basically when I was in junior high school, my brother, who's in high school, invited me to help build an electronics lab at the high school. So I was very young, and I was able to help build this electronics lab. And that sparked me to attend all of the electronics courses that were available when I was in high school, and I actually graduated high school with a vocational technical degree in electronics, and that provided the foundation for my college education.
Wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit about any experience you have with robotics and the part robotics are playing now in manufacturing?
So interesting you mentioned that particular thing. So I was actually the owner of a robotics company. We built robots for handling semiconductor wafers. So pretty much everybody's familiar with a cell phone. The cell phone contains integrated circuit chips, and those integrated circuit chips are made by various companies around the world, a lot of them in the United States, but for sure some overseas. But we built the robots that handle these wafers during the processing of the integrated circuits. I did that for about the last 16 years. I was involved in that particular type of business. Prior to that, I was in flight simulators.
Oh, that's really cool. Can you explain a little bit more about the flight simulators and how they work?
So flight simulators is like the greatest job on earth because you get to you get exposed to just about every facet of the manufacturing side, but also of computers, hydraulics, pneumatics, electrical schematics, software. So I was very lucky when I graduated from college. I actually worked for a couple of different simulator companies and was exposed to a number of different aircrafts. My first stint was on helicopters, and then I moved to fixed wings. I was my last job. I was on the A-10 project, which was an incredible airplane. But it's without tipping my hand, it's like getting paid to play video games all day. It's really awesome.
I'm sure that sounds like a perfect job to a lot of students out there.
It absolutely was very rewarding for me, and it gave me a foundation of knowledge that I've used throughout my career.
Wonderful. And where do you see any new technologies emerging that might be useful within your company, or, what new technologies do you see coming down the pipeline?
So I'm not going to say it's exactly technology, so to speak, but there's a movement going on right now that the government is demanding that all manufacturers of parts for the DoD are cybersecurity certified. You hear the buzzword CMMC, it's Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, and all of the contractors for the government, subcontractors for the government, and it goes all the way down to the people that are doing the plating and painting have to be certified, or they're not going to be allowed to work on these parts anymore. So it's not really a technology, so to speak, but it's absolutely something that it's going to be up and coming. And if there's, I know, I'm not sure if the people that are attending, but a number of the students that I've talked to over the last couple months are already aware of cybersecurity being a major player in the marketplace. So if you went after a degree in cybersecurity, for example, you're absolutely going to be employed for a very long time.
Yes, I agree. It's a very important initiative. And I know with Suzanne being on the line as well, she works very closely with cybersecurity. So very, very good point. And I'm sure she can probably tell us a little bit more about that as well. So, in addition to that, when someone's working within your company, do you offer any additional training, or if they start at one position, is there a chance for them to advance their career, or do you have any type of, training that you would provide to your employees?
So yes, we absolutely do provide training. We hire both skilled and unskilled labor. Most of the unskilled labor, let's say you're right out of high school, you don't have a college degree, you would probably start in our finishing department, which is, it's still a very important piece of what we do, but it's a dirty job. And I don't think it's anybody that works out there intends to stay there through their whole career. So the typical career path is they would come in at that level, learn what we do, learn how to read prints, learn what's important on the quality side, and then move over to one of our machining centers and start operating one of the CNC pieces of equipment, which we would train you for.
And how old would how young do you hire, or how old do you have to be to work there?
So you have to be at least 18 to work here. And currently, I don't have anybody in that age range. Most everybody is over 20 at the moment, but we absolutely have had some young employees that did a really good job, and some of them moved up through the ranks and got trained to the point that they were more valuable somewhere else. We do have a very long history of employment, though. Most of our employees have been here for 15 years or longer.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, I hear that's very common within the manufacturing industry for employees to stay for their entire career. So that says a lot.
We have some really good employees and that know what they're doing. They know how to get the job done right and quick, on time, with good quality. So it benefits the company too when they stay.
And when somebody's looking for employment, what do you typically look for in a potential employee, other than maybe certifications or education? But what other skills or traits would you look for in a potential employee?
So back to, reading the blueprint's probably the number one. If you can't read the blueprint, then it is very difficult to work here, because everything we do is based on the specification that's on the blueprint and the supporting documentation that comes with it. In some cases, you might have a 11 by 17, for example, blueprint, but there could be 500 pages of specifications that go with that. So you have to have a very sharp mind so that you can read through those specifications and pick out the quality clauses that are important to the job and make a good part based on all the information that the customer provides. So CNC programming and or setup operation is important. You wouldn't necessarily have to have that skill to get in the company, but it's certainly, to be able to make a higher salary, you would have to know how to do that.
And what would be a starting salary?
Well, that's a good question too. So we start base finishing, for example, would be about $15 an hour. Get up into the operators and the programmers, welders. You're up in the 20s and $30 range.
That's a great salary. Starting out and advancing, that opportunity to advance, that's wonderful. Can you explain a little bit more about the quality process? I'm sure with a lot of the companies that you work for, they must have very strict specifications for parts. So what would that quality process look to make sure the part is suitable for your clients?
So a couple different things. My view on quality, the company's view on quality, is it's everybody's responsibility. So from the person that's cutting the metal, the blanks, to the person that's running the part, quality is built in throughout the process to make sure that if there's something wrong, we fix it early on. But the actual quality department, they have a number of sophisticated measuring tools. The most popular one is the CMM, coordinate measuring machine, that actually understands what the part's supposed to look like, and it goes and touches all the various features on the part, and it does that from a program that the operator writes. And then the drawing tells us what's acceptable and what's not. So we measure the output of our production line using the CMM, for example, and then we look at the blueprint, determine what our boundaries are, and make sure that the finished product is within those boundaries.
Okay. And Jeff, how would someone apply for a position with your company?
The easiest way is to send our HR department your resume. So hr@emsinc.net. You can also come in and apply in person. That's a little more difficult during these trying times.
And how can they also stay in touch with your company if they want to see what's going on and what's new with you?
So we are on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, most of the social media sites. We have a presence, and also our website contains information that's up to date.
Okay, wonderful. Well, in closing, is there anything else that we've missed that you wanted to let the students know?
Well, I'm going to give you one of my favorite things and that I've lived through my life, and that's hard work always pays off. If you're working hard in school and getting your homework done and getting good grades, that will absolutely pay off in life later on. I remember when I was in high school and I was going through trigonometry classes and calculus, that I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I ever going to use this? Well, when I designed and built robots for the semiconductor industry, everything that I learned in trigonometry, I was using. Later on in my career, I actually became a software engineer, and I used all of my trigonometry skills in formulas to calculate where the robot was, how fast it was moving, whether it was on the correct trajectory or not. So everything you're learning in school means something, and I hope everybody works hard and focuses on their schoolwork, especially in these trying times when things are not as solid as they were when I was going to school.
Exactly. That's great words of wisdom. Well, I appreciate you being with us today, Jeff, and I appreciate you putting together the virtual tour of your facility. If anyone has any questions for Jeff or would like to apply, you can always reach out to him or reach out to me at BAMA, admin@bama-fl.org, and we can put you in touch with Jeff. But thank you again, and I hope everyone joins us for our next virtual student tour. Thanks, and have a great day, everyone.